Quick disclaimer, Learn from Mac is an independent educational project. We are not affiliated with, endorsed by, or sponsored by Apple, or any vendor or product covered in this course. Hey, welcome back to Learn from Mac. I'm Dennis, and today is day 12 of the F5 LTM R4600 Bootcamp. Today we write actual code that runs inside the data plane, iRules, for the traffic logic no profile or policy alone can express. Let's get into it. First, the goal. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand the iRules execution model and have written 3 production-ready iRules: HTTP to HTTPS redirect, header insertion with logging, and URI-based pool selection. Here's what you need: LTM licensed and provisioned, at least 2 pools with healthy members, a virtual server on port 80 and a separate HTTPS one on 443, and admin access to TMSH or the iRule editor in the GUI. 3 concepts before we write any TCL. Concept 1, the iRule itself. It's a TCL-based event-driven script that runs inside the BIG-IP data plane, attached to a virtual server, firing on specific traffic events like HTTP request or client accepted. This is programmatic control over every connection the BIG-IP touches, far beyond what profiles and policies alone can do. Concept 2, event context. Every iRule is organized into when event blocks, and the event determines what data is available and when the code actually runs. HTTP request fires after the full request headers are parsed, which is why it's the most common hook for inspection and routing decisions. Concept 3, the iRules API and priority. iRules extend TCL with F5 provided commands, HTTP : redirect, header insert, pool selection, precompiled into TMOS so they run at line rate in the fast path, not a slow scripting interpreter. When multiple iRules attach to one VS, they run in ascending priority order, and if one calls pool or reject, later iRules in that same event may never run. So order your most decisive iRule last. All right, 3 labs. First, an HTTP to HTTPS redirect iRule, tested with curl following redirects, then header insertion and HSL syslog logging with a generated trace ID per request, then URI-based routing, API traffic to one pool, static assets to another, a health endpoint answered directly, everything else to a default pool. Let's get into it. Lab 1, create the redirect iRule. Every HTTP request gets sent to HTTPS. Attach it to the port 80 virtual server, verify it's there, and test it from a real client following the redirect. Lab 2, an iRule that inserts real client IP, a trace ID, and logs every request over HSL. Attach it to the HTTPS virtual server after SSL offload. Send a request, then confirm the header actually arrived at the origin server. Lab 3, build the pools this routing iRule needs first. Now the routing iRule itself, API traffic, static assets, a direct health response, and a default pool. Attach both iRules, order matters, routing goes last. Test all 4 paths from a real client. And that's 3 real iRules live, doing things TMSH configuration alone simply cannot express. There are self-check questions on the lesson page worth sitting with, iRule priority and execution order, especially, since that's exactly what determines whether your redirect fires before or after your routing logic. Take a minute with those. Quick recap before we go. iRules run in the fast path, precompiled into TMOS, not a slow interpreter, but still keep them lean, since inefficient code has a real performance cost at scale. HTTP request is where most logic lives, because that's the earliest point the full request is actually parsed and available. Multiple iRules run in priority order, and a decisive action like pool selection can prevent later iRules from running at all. Sequence them deliberately. And HSL logging is non-blocking and fast path safe. That's specifically why it's the right way to log from inside an iRule, not a synchronous call that would stall traffic. All right, that's day 12 in the books. Redirect, header insertion with logging, and URI-based routing. 3 real iRules doing real work, tested and confirmed with curl. If this was useful, hit subscribe. You won't miss a single lesson. Next up is day 13, traffic policies, LTM policy. See you there.